Ever feel like you're just spinning your wheels at work? Stuck in this loop of tasks that don't really add any value? Well, there's this really powerful mindset designed to break that exact cycle. It's called lean thinking. And it's all about banishing waste and totally transforming how we work, in any industry. So let's dive in and see how it all works.
The rocket scientist Wernher von Braun absolutely nailed it with this one. We can do these incredible things, right? Like literally land on the moon. But sometimes it's the small, wasteful stuff, the paperwork, that just holds us back. And today, that paperwork could be anything. Endless emails, clunky software, those approval chains that just seem to go nowhere. It's a feeling we all know, right? Just a universal frustration.
So that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? Is there a better way, a systematic way to actually see all that paperwork, challenge it, and then get rid of it? Well, the good news is, yes, there absolutely is. And the framework for it, it's surprisingly straightforward.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start our journey in post-war Japan, where this whole idea was born out of pure necessity. Then, we'll break down its 5 core principles. After that, we'll learn how to hunt for waste in pretty much any process. We'll also see how it's changing industries way beyond the factory floor. And finally, we'll get into why this is a journey that never really ends.
All right, Section 1, From Scarcity to Success. Let's go back to the beginning, to the origins of this revolution, which, believe it or not, was driven by some incredible scarcity.
So picture this. It's right after World War II, and Toyota is basically on the brink of bankruptcy. They're looking at their American competitors who have, vast resources, and Toyota has next to nothing. They had to be unbelievably resourceful. This wasn't some fancy theory they cooked up in a boardroom. It was a flat-out fight for survival. And that exact necessity, well, it became the mother of a truly revolutionary new way of thinking.
And to really get how radical Toyota's idea was, you've got to look at how things were done before. First, you had craft production. One skilled person making one entire product. Super slow. Then came mass production, the whole Ford assembly line model, all about making massive quantities in huge batches. But lean production, that was the next giant leap. It was a complete rethinking of everything, laser-focused on one thing, creating value for the customer with the absolute minimum amount of waste.
And what's so wild is that for decades, this whole system was basically Toyota's secret weapon. Seriously, the rest of the world didn't even have a name for it. Not until a bunch of MIT researchers published this huge study. They needed a word to describe a system that used less of everything, less effort, less space, less time, and the perfect word they came up with? Lean.
Okay, so on to Section 2, the 5 core principles. How do you actually start to think lean? Because it's not just a random collection of tools you see. It's a really structured framework for thinking. So let's break it down. So those researchers, Womack and Jones, they took everything they learned and distilled it into this brilliant 5-step framework. And this isn't some vague, fuzzy philosophy. No, it's a practical, actionable guide for totally transforming how work gets done.
And the logic here is it's beautiful. Step 1, it all starts with value. And I mean specifying what creates value from the customer's perspective. That's the only one that matters. Okay, once you've got that, you move to Step 2. You map out the entire value stream. That's every single step from start to finish. With that map in hand, you get to Step 3, create flow. You want to make all those value-creating steps happen in a tight, smooth sequence, no interruptions. Next, Step 4 is pull. Instead of pushing stuff out, you let customers pull value from the process. You only make what's been asked for. And finally, Step 5, perfection. This is the mindset that you're always pursuing a state with zero waste. It's a never-ending journey.
Okay, to really get lean, we have to talk about its number one enemy, waste. This right here is the absolute heart of the philosophy. Think about any process, any task you do. There are really only 2 kinds of activities. There are the things that genuinely add value for the customer, and then there's everything else. And that everything else is what the Japanese call muda. It literally means waste. It's any activity that eats up resources, time, money, effort, but creates absolutely zero value for the person you're doing it for. And just think for a second about how common this stuff is. It's the time you spend fixing mistakes. It's all the inventory just sitting in a warehouse. It's those files waiting and waiting for a signature. Even the extra clicks you have to make in some clunky software. I'm telling you, once you learn how to see muda, you start seeing it absolutely everywhere. So the big question is, how do you get rid of it? Well, the answer, the direct antidote to all that muda, is creating what's called flow.
Flow is kind of the lean ideal state. It's where work just moves from one value-creating step to the very next one with no stops, no scrap, no backtracking. Just smooth, seamless progress.
And this idea of flow is a direct attack on the old way of doing things, what's called the batch and queue method. We've all seen this, right? You do a huge batch of one task, and then it just sits in a queue, waiting for the next person or machine. Lean just flips that whole idea on its head. It aims for a continuous, one-piece flow that's way faster, much more flexible, and, you guessed it, creates way less waste.
Okay, let's make this super concrete with a car factory example. A traditional factory might say, okay, this week is White Car Week, and paint a giant batch of white cars. Next week is Blue Car Week. Why? Because changing the paint color is slow and a pain. So if you want a blue car, you might have to wait for weeks. But a lean factory? They've engineered their process so they can change colors in just a few minutes. That means they can paint a white car, then a blue one, then a red one, back to back, responding directly to what customers are actually ordering right now. That is the power of flow. All right, section 4, beyond the assembly line. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Okay, this is great for making cars, but I work in an office, or a hospital, or a software company. Well, here's the amazing part. These principles, they apply absolutely everywhere. In fact, some of the most incredible results we're seeing are in the service sector. Places like Hasirek have documented this really well. It turns out, whether you're building a car or caring for a patient, you are dealing with complex processes. And you know what that means? Where there are processes, there's always waste hiding somewhere.
I mean, just look at this number, 91%. That is not a typo. The Mayo Clinic applied these lean methods to how patients move through their system. And get this, they slashed the wait time from the first call to the actual consultation from 33 days all the way down to just 3, a 91% reduction. Just think about what that means for a patient who is anxiously waiting for answers and for care.
And the benefits go way beyond just speed. We're talking about reducing costs while improving the quality of care. It means clinicians get to spend less time bogged down in paperwork and more time, actually caring for patients. And it creates a much better, less chaotic working environment for everybody on the team.
Okay, so our final section, a never-ending journey. This brings us to a really crucial point. Lean is not a project with a finish line. It's not something you just do and then you're done. It's a fundamental shift in culture. It's about this constant pursuit of perfection. This quote really just sums it all up, doesn't it? It's about getting the right things to the right place, at the right time, in the right quantity, all while minimizing waste and being flexible. It's this whole philosophy. The goal is a system that's responsive, super efficient, and just relentlessly focused on delivering value. And the key ingredient? A culture that is always open to change. Because here's the real secret sauce to all of this. At its absolute core, lean is about people. The ultimate goal isn't just to use a few cool tools. It's to build a culture of what the Japanese call kaizen. That means continuous improvement. It's about empowering every single person in the organization, from the CEO to the front lines, to see waste and to have the power to do something about it, every single day. So I'll leave you with a couple of questions to think about. Now that you have this new lens, where is the muda, the waste, in your own work? What's the waiting, the rework, those unnecessary steps you take every day? And maybe more importantly, what's one small change, just one tiny step you could take today to start that journey toward perfection?